Okay, we have learned how to translate an equation into the y equals form, but we can actually graph using standard form. So let's write what standard form is. So you need, oh, there's already a text box there. Just double click. I am going to make that bigger, though. I'm going to go with 30. AX plus BY equals C is our standard form. In standard form, the A has to be positive. A is always positive. B and C, it doesn't matter on being positive or negative. But they're all constants. They can't be variables. They have to be constants. So A times X plus B times Y equals C. So in order to graph using standard form, method 1 would be like we've already been doing. Solve for Y. To get it in Y equals MX plus B form. Method 2 is going to be use the standard form to find the intercepts. Okay, so we are going to work this out on paper. I'm going to give you a problem. We're going to work it out, and we're going to put it in our, we're going to write it in our journal and then take a picture and put it in here. So open up your journal, and let's write graphing standard form. Slide 6. So our equation that we are going to graph, our function, is 5x plus 2y equals 16. So we are going to do the method 1, and that is solve for y. So let's go ahead and do that. So we would minus 5x to both sides. And my purple is out. Carry down the 2y, so 2y equals negative 5x plus 16. So we want it to be mx plus b. So that's why we would put the negative 5x first. And then we would divide by 2 all the way through. So y equals negative 5 over 2x. If we could reduce it, we would. If we can't, we'll just leave it like that because it's easier to graph if we have a rise or a run as a fraction rather than decimal. And then 16 over 2 is plus 8. Will somebody pass out rulers? There's rulers in the back. And we are going to graph it on here. Do what? Yeah, just make a graph. No. I made mine go up because I know I'm going to have to graph 8 at least. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you, Carter. So we're going to graph the y-intercept, so plus 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then down 5 over 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2. So whenever you graph your line up your dots on top of the ruler, so that way that whenever you draw your actual line, it'll go exactly through the dots or the points. Okay, so method 2 is finding the intercepts. So whenever I say the intercepts, we are finding the y-intercept and the x-intercept, and then drawing a line, because you only need 2 points to form a line. So in order to find your intercepts, you would just need to know that for an x-intercept, that's whenever you have a number for x, some number, and a 0 for y. So you're going to plug in 0 for y and solve for x. So for your y-intercept, you're going to have a number for y and a 0 for x. So you're going to plug in 0 for x and solve for y. And your x-intercept is some number, comma 0. And your y-intercept is 0, comma some number. So you're going to write your x and y intercepts as coordinates. Not just as a number, you're going to write it as a coordinate. Okay, so let's find the x-intercept. Just going to abbreviate intercept with int. So we have 5x plus 2y equals 16. So remember, we're going to plug in a 0 for y. Plug in 0 for y. So that means 5x plus 2 times 0 equals 16. And we're going to solve for x. What happens to 2 times 0? It becomes 0. So all we're really left with is 5x equals 16. So then what do we do there? Just divide by 5. So what does x equal? 3.2. And we're going to write it as a coordinate, like I said, x, y, so 3.2, comma, 0. All right, and then our y-intercept. Oh, that you cannot see that. So this is where we are going to plug in a 0 for x and solve for y. So 5x plus 2y equals 16. So 5 times 0 plus 2y equals 16. 5 times 0 is 0, so we have 2y equals 16. Divide by 2, y equals 8. So then our y-intercept is going to be 0 for x, 8 for y. We just need 2 points in order to draw the graph. So if we were to draw those 2 points, we're going to use the same graph and just look at it real quick. So the x-intercept is at 3.2. Let's look. 3.2. Does that seem about right? Yeah. 3 and not close to half, closer to the 3. And then the 8 is right here. So see how it forms the same line? So if you wanted to know the exact spot that it went through the x-axis, this would be the way to do it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, just take a picture of it and put it right here. So I'm going to pause it while you do that real quick, because then we're going to do one more example. Okay, so I put my picture over the top of the bottom part of the page. So we are going to do one more example like this. And so go to your composition book.
Do you have to like that? Like, well, do we have to write on the back of the page, or can we write on the next?
It's up to you. If you don't write on the back, you might need another composition book at some point, like earlier than we would need it. Okay, so 3x plus 5y equals 15. We are going to do both methods. I'm actually going to have y'all do method 2 first. And then we'll draw the graph on the bottom. We'll do both methods. So method 2 is find intercepts. Method 1 is solve for y to get into y equals mx plus b. So we're going to do this one first. Okay, so we want to find our x-intercept. In order for us to do that, what do we need to plug in? Yep. So we'll have 3x plus 5 times 0 equals 15. That goes to 0. 3x equals 15. Divide by 3. X equals 5. So our intercept would be 5, 0. And then our y-intercept, what do we plug in? Yep. So 3 times 0 plus 5 times y equals 15. Five y equals 15. Divide by 5. Y equals 3. So our coordinate is 0, 3. Let's graph, or draw the graph, and then we'll graph them. So we want 5, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 0. So our x-intercept, 0, 3. Our y-intercept, connect the dots. There's your line. Okay, y'all got it? Okay. So then method 1 is solve for y. So let's write our equation. And solve for y. So we would subtract 3x. You got this? Five y equals negative 3x plus 15. Divide by 5. So y equals negative 3 over 5x plus 15 over 5, 3. Just to make sure that we graphed it correctly, you would graph your y-intercept at 3, which is right here. Then go down 3 over 5. So it's the same graph. Take a picture of this and upload it. Okay, we are going to practice just finding intercepts, not graphing, just finding the intercepts on here. So write these problems down. And we are going to find the x and y intercept for each one.
Are you recording this, Mrs.
Mm-hmm. I do need to probably pause it. Okay, so let's look at these problems together. So you're finding your intercepts. So for your x-intercept, you're going to plug in a 0 here. So you can write this all down, or you can look and say, okay, if there's going to be a 0 here, then for my x-intercept, I'm just going to have 2x equals negative 12, right? I no longer have the y. So I divide by 2, and x equals negative 6. So my coordinate is negative 6, 0. Right? Okay. Y-intercept, I'm going to plug in a 0 for x. So I'm no longer going to have an x. I'm only going to have the 3y equals negative 12. So I divide by 3, and y equals -4. So my coordinate is 0 for x and -4 for y. Okay, the next one, x-intercept, you're going to have a 0 for y. So if I just cover that up, I look and see what is left in that equation. -6x equals -18. Divide by the -6, x equals +3. So my coordinate is 3, 0. My y-intercept, I'm going to plug in a 0 for x, so I'm no longer going to have the x. I'm going to cover that up with my finger and see what's left. And I have 9y equals -18. Divide by 9, y equals -2. So it's 0, -2. So far, doing okay? Okay, the next one, x-intercept. I'm going to plug in a 0 for y, so I no longer have the y. I only have a -x equals 4. I don't want a negative x, I want a positive x. So I'm going to divide by a -1 to get a positive x, but then a -4. That's -4, 0. Y-intercept. We no longer have an x, so it's 8y equals 4. Divide by 8. Y equals 4 over 8, or half, 0.5. So then my coordinate is 0 and 0.5, right? Okay. Next one, x-intercept, 0 for y, so I'm going to cover that up, and I get -half x equals -4 that I need to solve for. What operation do I need to do to get rid of the -half? Yep, multiply by the reciprocal, so -2 over 1, or just -2. So that cancels, and I get x equals +8. So my coordinate is 8, 0. The y-intercept, we have 0 for x, so we just get y equals -4. That's it. Didn't have to do anything there. So 0, -4. All right. Your assignments, I'm going to pass out in class, and it'll also be on Google Classroom. So let me know if you have